Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Doujinshi, and welcome back to another episode of Hentai Reviews. You see, this is a series that I've been doing recently. A little bit recently, not really all that much. Just a little over 100 episodes. God, I realize I made so much more of these than I ever thought I'd make. We're doing a little series nowadays that, unfortunately, we were given a recommendation a little too late because I had already had this planned and scripted. Don't worry to the people out there who have created recommendations for me. I have a list and I am slowly working my way through it. No matter how slowly I get along. Still looking at that Kimigasuki episode 2 review that I haven't done and I don't want to do because it is very vanilla and I am kind of tapped out on vanilla. I want some freak shit. That being said, also, Kanojo X Kanojo X Kanojo is also on the list, and also the rest of Black Bible, even though that is not a very big series for me. But I'm still going to do it someday, because I am determined, as the Undertale has told us, be filled with determination, or else you will have porn drawn of you that disturbs you in possibly every way that you've ever known, because why do you people lewd Sans? The fuck? He's just trying to live, man, and you ruined it. Off that topic that had nothing to do with anything that we're doing. Speaking of monsters, actually, you see, today we're going to be reviewing episode 1 of a series that I picked for myself that actually had a super long name. Why do I torture myself like this? You see, we're going to be reviewing episode 1 of, and bear with me, Mama X Holic, Miwaku no Mama to Amaama, Kankei, episode 1. If I mispronounce that, you know the drill by now. Very white. I wonder why. Nose reveal, actually. You see, this is a series done by our friends over at Pink Pineapple, running at a total of 19 minutes and 33 seconds long, with a total of 14 categories, notable of which are monster, harem, and bondage. And if you're wondering, does a dragon get tied up in a group of other dragons? No. You see, I kind of rated this highly when I initially watched it, and then I watched the second episode, and I don't know if you've ever seen what happens when mold grows on a really shitty piece of bread, and then it spreads to the really good baguette, but it's not fun, and I kind of lowered my own numbers on this artificially, actually. Like, I'm not a big fan of this one. But let's go ahead and get into it. You see, in the beginning of this whole episode, the whole series actually starts out with the main character, the humaniest human to ever human, in this world of nothing but exactly the same proportion female bodies that are all belonging to different monster girls that are very, very, very uninspired versions of monster girls. You know, your typical elf who looks nothing like an elf because they have big boobs, or the vampire that stays out in the sunlight and has big boobs, and the dragon girl who has tan skin, which is a bonus, but also just has big boobs and the horns. And not even a cool hairstyle, because what's creativity? We're just creating a fantasy world full of a whole bunch of different monster girls. Let's just make it look like a shitty cosplay was given to a whole bunch of different random porn stars, because hey, why not just put no effort into this one whatsoever? Congratulations, you did so well. And then you see, something that's pretty well shown off is that monster girls need one thing, and that's called mana, and mana is given in a lot of different ways, notably of which it can be smelt from a certain distance, which causes them to flock towards certain things, like humans and their ability to nut so well that it makes monster girls weak at the knees. Don't worry that dragons have their own empires and can build their whole stuff. Let's just make them weak at the knees immediately because semen is created. It's not like literally everything alive can create semen. Worms can make it. Why would humans be considered the whole thing? I'm tired of the cookie cutter copy human being that shows up in these fantasy things. Make this dude like an uber chat. Make him look like Iskandar from fucking, from Fate Zero. I want to see that dude. I'm tired of these little dudes that just show up and are like, oh no, I'm in a school full of monster girls who don't look anything like monster girls, and they're dry humping me because, oh, I just happen to smell like a human. I'm getting off topic, but I really don't like this trope anymore. I really kind of soured on it, but but I feel like that's the vast majority of it, because some of you people out there have self-insert fantasies. Stop having that. Look for characters that aren't exactly like you. Looking at everybody out there who still likes the series where the character has no personality except for the fact that they're super badass. You want to know why I like slime anime above a lot of the other ones? Because he has personality. 𝓗𝓗𝓷𝓽𝓪𝓲 is a dark motherfucker who really just wants to get what he wants. You want to know why I still don't like Kirito, even after everybody stopped making jokes about how... what's it even called? I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. Kirito, the Black Swordsman, whatever you want to give him. I'm not even gonna call him the Black Swordsman. Fuck the Black Swordsman, because he's a cookie-cutter copy cutout for people who just want to have a self-insert power fantasy. No. Stop that. Look for good characters, not power fantasy. I have gone completely off topic. I have no idea what I'm talking about anymore. You see, a gas attack, yeah, really, out of nowhere, gas attack shows up in the middle of this school and knocks out everybody but the human. Because humans are special out of nowhere. We've just decided. Humans are special, I've decided. And he doesn't get knocked out because mana was the only thing that was drained from all these different girls. They're all in a comatose state, you know, the whole school. But these 3 girls are the ones that are chosen. And he is told that they need a restoration of mana. He then heads off to the house of one of these girls, the blue-haired girl, who they find out has a blue-haired mother, who is very uninteresting. And once he finds her, he essentially says, "What can I do to help?" And then they're like, "You see, there is a thing called the sacred milk that is created that can restore mana to anything that has lost mana." They're like, "How does sacred milk get created?" Well, you see, it gets created when large amounts of a certain type of fluid are injected into a person. They can then generate the milk. This is a special way of saying if he uses his penis and puts it in their vagina, that they will then create breast milk that will then be able to heal the daughters and bring them back to life because mana has been created. Why? 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 I don't know, because somebody had a mommy-daughter fetish and wanted to make them squirt boob juice into their mouths. I don't know why I'm so hung up on this one in particular. Like, this isn't necessarily a super bad one, but I'm noticing a lot of tropes that I'm just not happy with at the moment. You see, when they go into this whole thing, they essentially just, like, hey, have sex with me, I will then create milk that will be able to bring my daughters back. Which is weird because he has sex with all 3 of them. Spoiler alert, he does. Not in this episode. He only gets the blue-haired mom, the least interesting of all. And then ends up, like, creating a whole bunch for her, which you didn't need a whole bunch. You just needed a little bit to feed to all of them. But why couldn't you just use the one girl? Like, this is so inefficient. You could have had all the girls back, and then you would have had a 6 harem instead of just 3 of these MILFs. They're all admittedly hot, but, like, lacking in design, I'm honestly gonna say. But let's get back to it. After he talks with all these different women, he ends up going up to the blue-haired mother and says, "Hey, would you like to start this whole thing?" And she's a BDSM freak and decides, yeah, let's go ahead and get into this. In which case, scene number 1 happens. Scene number 1 running from 10 minutes and 40 seconds to 15 minutes and 55 seconds. 5 minutes and 15 seconds of the 19 and a half minutes that's throughout this whole thing. Not necessarily a lot, but don't worry. This is the only scene in this whole thing, and it's not exactly great. Because it's mostly, like, how to stimulate somebody through BDSM, and it's not great, necessarily. Like, I may not be into it, but I can tell bad stuff when it's there. And yeah, she has a very milky ending of this scene that essentially comes from an inexperienced dom and a very willing sub. So it doesn't come off really as like domination. It comes off more like, give me what I want. He's like, okay. And then it's over for them. Like, that's it. It then goes over to him leaving that house, and on his way home, he walks by an alleyway, which case has the dragon girl's mom, the dark hair, or the dark-skinned one, and she's in the middle of just like an alleyway and says, "Hey, come over here." And she's like, "This may be a little weird, but I've never actually gotten laid." And he's like, "But you have a daughter." And she's like, "Artificial insemination. I never actually got laid to create her. Can you please explain sex to me?" which case leads up to like them getting really close and him going to explain it further and show off, and then there's a cliffhanger. You know, I don't really get blue balls all that much because I'm an adult and I can actually fucking understand how to nut when needed and hold it in, because some people don't know how to do that apparently. But you don't tease a sex scene and then cut away. Like, Elf no Tsukume had like 4 fucking scenes in each episode. Now, granted, they weren't super long and they weren't animated the greatest, but like, they didn't hold out on anything. They showed you immediately. But this one, they had one halfway through it, and then they had 4 minutes after it that was just a cock tease for something that would come in a later episode. But that's it. Once they get together, there's the cock tease and then the ending where there's nothing. So I guess let's go ahead and get into this, because we ain't got nothing else to do. Let's go ahead and get into the review. You see, let's start out with the animation. Animation. Is it good? Not really. Like, this is barely teetering on the line of competent. Like, this is a 5 out of 10 when it comes to animation. There's a lot of reused cycling motions, up and down, you know, that sort of thing, where it's like, here's a scene, we're gonna focus on it for a second. It's just a looped version of like a girl jumping up and down with her lips not matching the voices that are given, and the voices that are given are clearly meant to match the lips. And it's just hard to watch. The animation is not great. It's a 5 out of 10 at best, and at worst, you could be a lot harsher on it. But that's what I'm giving it, 5 out of 10. Now, the characters and story. Story and characters and story, whatever you want to call it, in either way, it's not great. Honestly, like, I originally gave it an 8 out of 10, but this seems like they're introducing a lot just for them to have no reason. Like, I understand, like, if you want to make, like, a quick porno one where it's like, oh no, I slipped. Looks like my dick is out of my pants, and the girl's like, well, we can't have that. And then grabs it, and then it just goes off. But this is, like, needlessly complicated for a fetish that I guarantee more people than you'd think have, but also, like, not a ton of people are actively, like, looking for. Like, the whole breast milk and BDSM, like, together, that may be, like, excusable, kinda, but, like, it's weird the way that it's done, where it's, like, I don't know, this feels needlessly complicated for 10 minutes of build-up to then lead to a very disappointing scene in itself. And I can't really say a lot of good about it. I'm going to drop this from an 8 down to like a 6. This is very much a porno plot, but it doesn't have like a lot of charm to it because it's taking itself seriously in how it does it. And I guess we're on to the stuff that we're all really here for, the plot. Is it good plot? I can't say it's bad because I haven't necessarily found a bad plot scene. I gave it an 8 out of 10, and I think I'm going to stick with the 8 out of 10, specifically for the fact that, you know, they're doing good with what they have. And I think it's just the time that it's been since I watched this, because I did watch this a few days ago. I can't necessarily think of anything bad that I saw, but I can't necessarily say that it's great for the fact that the material in it isn't all that, like, good. Like, I'm pretty sure this is the elf girl, and not a great one, like, blue hair. Like, you know, if you're gonna make an elf, you make it look like the chick from Code Geass, where it's, like, thin, flowing hair. You can make big boobs if you want, but most of the time, they're very, I've said it a lot in the last episode that I made, and this one, twinkish, where boobs are small because they have fucking hips and they can just, like, do so much stuff. They're very lanky, but they just went like, hot girl, pointy ears, boom, elf, just have fun. And I'm just gonna leave it at an 8. I'm gonna leave it at an 8, and you guys can judge for yourself if you want to go watch it. Which I guess leads up to the total. 5, 6, and 8 put together, that's 19. 19 divided by 3 is 5.5, so I think it comes out to a 6 out of 10. And I know 6 out of 10 seems lower comparatively to what it... Because originally this was a 7 out of 10, but this is like, rounded up, it's a 6 out of 10. I can't necessarily say it's good. This is something that you'd watch if you were curious about it, and that you would kind of skip around a lot. Like, I would definitely skip through a lot of the plot, because it's needlessly complicated for something that it's taking way more seriously than it should. If we're gonna have these, like, goofy plots that lead into plot, at least have fun with it, because this doesn't feel like they were having fun with it. This feels like they were setting up rules that they were then later going to not care about because they just wanted to get to the actual scenes themselves. And then they cock tease you at the end for no reason. But, you know, who am I? Who am I if not a spectator rather than a director? I could be so much more if I weren't so arrogant with my needs. But yeah, that's what we're going off on. 6 out of 10 for Mama X Holic, Miwaku no Mama to Amaama Kankei, episode 1. Was it good? Can't say particularly that it was special. Was it bad? Can't really say. If I got pissed off at it, then that was probably heat of the moment. But if you like it, good for you. Give me a good reason in the comments. If you didn't like it, like the video. Tell me in the comments. Do whatever you want. I'm not your dad. And yeah, let's go ahead and end it there. Once again, I want to thank everybody for being here. The 100 and something subscribers that I have. I don't want to say the exact number because I'm filming these ahead of time so I can have a whole bunch of days off and then continue to do these grind sessions every few days to make sure that I get a lot of content out all at once. And thank you, each and every one of you that's here. Regardless of the number that I'm thinking in my head, there's way more than I ever thought I'd get. And thank you so much, each and every one of you, for sticking around, for me being a dipshit on camera. That is more kindness than I've ever been shown, and it is so sweet. Thank you, each and every one of you. You're all beautiful for sticking around, and you're beautiful just for being alive. Thank you, everybody, for being here, and remember, have a nice day, don't be a dick, there's too many of them, and wash your fucking hands. I've been the Doctor. Peace.